Hi there, my name's Jane Anderson and this is the Jane Anderson Brand You Show. It's the podcast for experts who want to have greater impact, influence and income for their businesses and careers. As experts, we know that people buy from people and work with people who they know, who they like and who they trust. So I'm so glad you're here because it's that time again now to really amplify how you show up in the world. Hi there and welcome to the Jane Anderson Brand You Show. As you know, we talk about all things personal branding and having a business under yourname.com because we believe that people buy from people and they buy from people who they know, who they like and who they trust. So on today's podcast, I want to talk about LinkedIn profiles and how everybody has a slightly different role to play in the organization. So I recently got a message from somebody on LinkedIn and they'd seen me talk on a webinar and they said, I didn't realize that all the LinkedIn profiles needed to be different in the organization. We've been working with someone and they've come in and they've written all the profiles, but we haven't talked about differentiation. And I feel like we've got all these professional profiles and they all look really nice and polished. In fact, we even had professional photos taken. But our problem is that they look really good to recruiters because they look so nice and professional now. So what do we do now? Because we need to stop these recruiters trying to poach our staff. So how do we get our LinkedIn profiles to link to what we're trying to do as a business? We don't want more recruiters. And I find, I don't know if this happens to you in your business, if you've got a LinkedIn strategy in your business. But I find this is a really common fear and a common concern, particularly for CEOs. You know, this particular organization, they said that the purpose behind them doing this with LinkedIn was to increase their leads and boost its market share and to be able to achieve greater sales. But when I looked at what they were doing based on what he said, I could really see two problems. The first one was that all the team member profiles were written with the same purpose in mind, and that was to highlight the individual's area of expertise or to highlight credibility. Now, this might not seem particularly problematic, but it actually undermines the organisation's wish to retain its pool of talent by attracting the attention of recruiters. So, you've got these profiles that look fantastic, but then, you've got this risk of losing your staff. So that was the first issue. And then the second issue that I found was that there was actually no differentiation between the profiles and the levels that they worked at. So they hadn't really looked at the strategy and who the intended audience was. So it wasn't really clear about the purpose of each profile and how they'd been written. And so as a result, you kind of end up looking professional, but then you get all these really random requests because it's not clear about who you work with and who you help, and all those markets. So, and why does all this matter? Well, LinkedIn has over 400 million users, and I think I saw recently that around 20 new profiles are created every second. Australia's LinkedIn membership is one of the fastest growing in the world, and we have more than 6 million members on LinkedIn. And, this really presents a really huge opportunity for businesses. LinkedIn, first and foremost, is a search engine. So this means your business and your organization can be found on LinkedIn, as well as in Google search results, simply based on the type of services and products that you want the organization to be found for. So an example is, currently working with an industrial engineering company. Now, the team aren't necessarily salespeople, but they're a key part of why customers go to them and why they stay. But what we realized was that, the keywords in their profiles can support the search engine optimization, and you can actually test that. So if you have a look at some of my blogs, and you'll see that I've put the whole formula there and how you can test your search engine optimization. And in fact, a couple of years ago, we built another organization's profiles and all the team members, and they were a small player in a big industry in health insurance. And their challenge was that they were the small player in the industry, but LinkedIn has leveled the playing field. And So for this particular team, they had 20 sales team members in their sales team, along with the executive and the CEO. And they were competing with some of the bigger players like Medibank Private and NIB. And as a result of writing their profiles and making sure they were search engine optimized, they turned up on the first page of search results and were competing with the bigger players who were paying a lot of money for their SEO, their AdWords, all that sort of thing. And this team, they were leveraging off a tool that was free. So to be found on LinkedIn and to stand out, it's really important that the organization's staff's profiles have a really clear purpose. So a person makes a decision about someone within that first 3 to 4 seconds of landing on their profile. So it's really important that your company's profiles and the team members within that company align with your organization's LinkedIn strategy. So if a profile really appeals to a recruiter, then the more recruiters are going to contact that person. Whereas if a profile connects with clients and collaborators or industry partners, then more of these people are going to want to connect with you and your staff and the organization. Problems really arise when you want to achieve more leads and sales via LinkedIn, but your staff members are being contacted by recruiters instead. So that's a complete waste of time, energy, effort, and money if you're paid to have them done. And it really means that your team's profiles really need to have a bit of a shake-up. So there are 4 levels to really consider for your organization's LinkedIn profile strategy. And when I say 4 levels, I mean 4 levels that have an impact on leads for the business. So the first level of profile builds for your organization, the first level is really those people who have customer-facing profiles. I don't mean necessarily your call centers and things like that, but particularly your business development teams, sales teams, the people through which your business's services and products are sold. And when I say that, I mean particularly business to business. So, because business to business is all about the customer relationship. So the content of these profiles really needs to reach out and sing to that customer. So it needs to identify what are the products that you sell. Why does your organization matter? Like what makes you unique? What makes what are customers saying about you? All those types of things. Their profiles are very much about trust. But also the other thing too is also a tool to make sure that they're continually keeping in touch with those contacts, because we know that around 10 pieces of content need to be consumed before somebody makes a decision, and around 90% of a decision is made before they get in contact with you. So that's the first one, all your customer facing profiles, and the real connection there is it's all about the customer. The other thing to also consider at this level is it's also a little bit about talent. So there are some people who we know that 75% of job seekers, if they're looking at applying for a role, will generally validate the business through its people there. It's not that hard to work out what team you might be working for. So it's making sure that the profiles have a professional enough presence that if I'm considering working there, does it look like I would be a good fit to work with this team? Do they look like people I would get along with? And that's about cultural fit. So that's the first one. Customer-facing roles need to reflect a customer, not a job search strategy. So level number 2, this is about the manager's profiles. So managers are really about being brand ambassadors for your organisation. So it needs to have things in it like content about the products and services that can be included, particularly to validate the business for potential clients. But the main focus for a manager profile is to recruit and retain the organisation's talent. So a manager's profile is particularly valuable when a job is being advertised within their team. I just spoke before about that 75% of job seekers will validate an organisation through a leader's profile. So a manager's profile must articulate the nature of the organisation and the team and what the team delivers. It's also, I think, really valuable that the manager's profile captures the values for them as a leader. So what makes my team a high-performing team? What are the things that I expect out of my team? What are the things we're committed to with customers? And the reason being, with those job seekers that are looking to validate your leaders, if the profile highlights where you would be a good fit for us because, why are we a great place to work, those types of things, then you're more likely to attract that talent. And equally, you're going to repel the wrong people, which is even more important. Because how often do you get stuck with someone who's not a good fit for your organization, and then it's so hard to get rid of them? So you want to make sure that your profile positions you as the leader or the manager, as in, why are we a great place to work? What's a good fit for our team? And it leverages also the customer experience. So if a customer is validating you after working with one of your team, that it sings to that person as well. So you've got two purposes there if you're a manager. The third level is somebody who is at an executive level. So for somebody who has an executive level, and particularly some of the senior team, it's not just to have credibility and validate the organisation as part of that recruitment process, but it's also to create and nurture those industry partnerships. So these profiles really need to position the organisation and its vision. They really need to articulate team's values, how it contributes to the organisation as a whole, and its industry partners already, or types of clients that they've worked with. So these profiles are less about the individual and more about how the organisation can collaborate and create those industry partners. So whether it's clients and those types of things. In fact, even still part of the recruitment process, the health insurance company that I was speaking about before, what they did was they created a new policy that no managers were to advertise any jobs until their profile had been written and validated really well for potential talent. So it's incredible the impact of those profiles, and just purely not just from a lead generation perspective, but also a recruitment process. So I don't necessarily really get into too much around recruitment and attracting talent. LinkedIn deliver a lot of that training for their clients. So, but more from a lead generation, you can get leverage out of your executive profiles for that reason. So that's the third one. And then the final level, which is level 4, which is a CEO's profile. And a CEO's profile is just so important. I can't stress enough. And it breaks my heart a little bit that when I go to work with an organisation, I go to the CEO's profile and there's nothing in it. And, one of the problems that I find when working with CEOs is they don't like putting themselves out in the public domain. There's a real fear of, am I going to be inundated? Am I going to be harassed by salespeople? Or, am I going to, become an extension of the customer service team? I don't want to be dealing with customers, that's someone else. Or one of their concerns is that I don't want to look like a show pony. I don't want to look like, I'm so good, because we have this thing in Australia, which is the tall poppy, and it's not cool to say, look at me or anything like that. So I generally find CEO profiles are generally have nothing in them because they're kind of private people and they don't want people to know anything about them. Or their profile might look like a job seeker, and it highlights, that they've done their MBA at INSEAD or Harvard or whatever it might be. And so they kind of look a bit like a job seeker. The reality, though, is that 2/3 of customers make a decision about an organisation based on its CEO. So this profile also really has a huge amount of leverage. Not that I really get into Twitter, but the research shows us that a Twitter profile with the word CEO in it generally gets profile followers 20 times faster than any other profile. So even just simply the word CEO, quite often, because that can connect for those people trying to find CEOs. But there are really 5 purposes to a CEO's profile as part of all this. So the first one is to really make sure that their profile articulates the organisation's vision and what it's trying to achieve. I work with a lot of CEOs and speak to a lot of CEOs. So I'm on the tech speaking circuit, which is the Executive Connection. So they're across Australia and into the US. and work with a lot of CEOs around helping them understand this. And it always amazes me how many CEOs find it difficult to articulate that vision. So, our mission is to be a world leading blah, 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 or Australia's leading or most preferred. Quite often they'll get stuck in here's what we deliver, and that's not a vision. The second one is to really provide clarity about the services and products. So because the profiles can be search engine optimized and the CEO's profile is so highly leveraged, it's not that hard to really capture in the profile to be clear about the type of customers that your business helps and how you help them. So if you, if you're a consulting firm and you're the CEO, we deliver consulting, training, advice on this particular area of expertise in these types of industries. So it's not about your resume, it's actually about the organisation, but it's being leveraged through you. And if you're a CEO and you're sort of wondering, well, how do you do that? Or, it's actually a change of mindset, is that your LinkedIn is actually not about you when you're a CEO. Your profile is about positioning the organisation through you. And it's far more about your customer, it's about talent, it's about positioning the organisation and you with it. And so the third point then is to really inspire others or job seekers to want to work with your organisation. So your content in your profile really needs to explain why is it a great place to work and really encourage potential employees to think, wow, look what they're trying to do. I want to be part of that. And, I think I could achieve my potential by working for this organisation. They sound fantastic. In her work on maximising psychological capital, Jess Price-Jones, she's the author and founder of iPreneur, based at Oxford University in the UK. And I've done a lot of this work with organisations in the past, and she's identified the 5 C's that help people feel more satisfied in their work. And the top one, for example, is contribution, which is around how do I feel like I contribute or how do I make a difference? And when a job seeker is looking at profiles, when they're looking at a CEO's profile, by articulating that vision, the job seeker looks in your profile, where do I see me in you? And so that's where would I be heard? Do I have something to contribute? Are they clear about where they're going? And I think that I could get involved. So you need to really provide evidence that your company is a standout workplace. And the way that you can do that is include testimonials from team members. You could be sharing your survey results and statistics. So, for example, has the average team member been with the organisation for more than 5 years or something like that? So, great way to really highlight why are you a great place to work. The next one is about what really sets your organisation apart. So this is about uniqueness. So what's so good about what you do? And it should really highlight things like industry awards or talent survey results or information on your increase in market share. And I often will ask CEOs, what are you most proud of about your organisation? And because you can really leverage this information so that it appeals to clients, industry partners, collaborators, suppliers, customers, all the people that your organisation is trying to influence. So that's about what are you proud of. And then the last one is around corporate social responsibility. So you might have seen, if you're a CEO, there's certainly a lot of data around the return on investment on corporate social responsibility, the perception of the brand because of that. And a lot of team members want to be able to be involved in something like that too. So how does your organisation make a difference in the world? Does it practice transparent, ethical behaviour? How does its decisions and activities impact on society and the environment? So these days, a lot of weight is really placed on corporate social responsibility and how it does link to that share price. And this is about, are you just about the almighty dollar? There's a far more greater focus on altruism and how your organisation makes a difference in the world. So I would certainly be making sure I'm considering that in my CEO's profile. So those 5 things, I think are really crucial. But overall, as you can see, I think all staff members really have a role to play in your organisation's LinkedIn strategy. And it's really vital that your marketing team are clear on the purpose of each of those profiles during the build process. And so the question really now is, so what are the next steps to take so that you can thoroughly leverage your organisation's LinkedIn profiles? So love to know your thoughts. You're very welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. To find out more information, I've written about this in my Connect books, which is Connect, How to Leverage Your LinkedIn Profile for Business Growth and Lead Generation in Less Than 7 Minutes per Day. You can find it on my website, which is www.jane-anderson.com. It's also available on Amazon, Kindle, Book Depository, Barnes & Noble, all those places, and you can jump on there. But other than that, I look forward to hearing from you. I'll put this post up on LinkedIn as well, so I'd love to hear your comments, thoughts, and what your experience has been. So until next time, have a fantastic week and rest of your week. I hope that you've got something exciting planned and that you're continuing to work hard on your LinkedIn profiles. So enjoy the rest of your week.